After watching the manufacturing process of the Sharp motor main shaft, I finally understood why a simple Sharp power generation equipment can cost tens of millions of yuan. Just an engine main shaft needs to be made of ultra-high specification metal in 3 days. Its process details are comparable to those of military enterprises. This is the first step in manufacturing the turbine main shaft of the local wind power manufacturing plant. The workers first move this piece of metal weighing dozens of tons to the factory, and then cut the alloy steel in front of them horizontally and horizontally. After the preparation work is completed, the cutting process begins. Since the metal is very large, an automatic cutting machine is used in this process. The worker only needs to set the moving track and the machine can automatically cut the metal into 2 pieces. The edges are also very neat without any flaws or gaps. Then the raw materials are transported to the furnace for heating at 1200 degrees for up to 2 hours. The above until the moment the furnace door is opened also indicates that this heat treatment can come to an end. But it cannot stop at this moment. The huge metal seems insignificant in front of the mechanical vehicle, but from the perspective of the fully protected staff on the side, the next step seems it's not easy. Especially when the 2,000-ton punch press touches the bow and arrow, the oxide layer on the surface crackles and falls off instantly. If the iron sheet is not properly protected, once it touches the skin, the terrifying scream will definitely resound throughout the venue. Then the pressure braking disc is laid flat on the top of the bow and arrow. Under the action of hydraulic pressure, the metal gradually becomes more rounded and looks like a piece of white rabbit candy. But the taste of this thing should be better. The hotter mouth is then transported to the front again. Now it enters the braking process. Braking is not just to get the bow and arrow shape. By pressing the batch material, it can also eliminate the defects such as columnar looseness in the metal smelting process to a certain extent. Secondly, it can also improve the internal structure and enhance the mechanical properties. After several rounds of braking and pressing, this square iron lump has also become a solid cylindrical iron lump. Then the surface is repeatedly pressed at a high frequency. The second braking process is completed only when the steel becomes a complete cylindrical steel. Then the robot arm puts it into the mold and aligns it to the point to prepare for the final braking process. Under the pressure of thousands of tons, the metal fits the inner wall of the mold at a very fast speed. The surface becomes more neat after rounds of pressing. After the surface shows horizontal dimensions, slowly push it out of the pressure braking position. Next, prepare to remove the mold. As for removing this thing, it is to push it down again and again. After 5 rounds of treatment, the big nail is finally pulled out. This is the initial shape of the Sharp turbine main shaft. Then put it outside the factory to let it cool naturally. After cooling for several hours, turn on the electric furnace again and push all the bows and arrows into the furnace. This process is the return. Compared with ordinary bows and arrows, the tempering efficiency of this guy is particularly long. It took 24 hours to heat in the furnace. In front of you is the iron lump after tempering and cooling. Below is the preparation for cutting the bow and arrow. First, it is hoisted to the lathe operating table, and then the triangular chuck is firmly fixed with the help of the outside tool. At the same time, the lathe is turned on and off. The machine can drive this metal to realize semi-automatic turning. In a blink of an eye, the surface shows the original color of the metal. Although it only takes a few seconds to cut it. But in the real factory, it takes more than 3 hours to complete. The picture shows the main shaft of the Sharp turbine. Do you know how heavy this solid iron lump is?